Okay guys, we're back with another video. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button, share the video, share the knowledge. This is from CNBC. High earning workers are even living paycheck to paycheck. But mind you, a lot of these people that are earning elite salaries, they live in expensive cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York. So even if you're making six figures, you're being highly taxed. And your rent is like $3,000 or $4,000 a month. It's like your rent is your biggest loss in your income, followed by taxes and food and gas next. But let's see what's going on with the hamster wheel.
For many Americans, work can feel like a hamster wheel. No matter how hard they run, it never feels like enough. Americans, on average, say they would need $520,000 a year to feel rich. And the more people earn, the more they say they need to feel comfortable. Americans making under $50,000 felt they needed $157,000 a year to feel comfortable. Those making $100,000 or more said they would need $246,000.
Too much money ain't enough money. That's the problem. Let alone you need write-offs if you're making this kind of money. Otherwise, you're going to be heavily taxed. And then you're going to feel it's not even worth making more money.
When I was in middle school, a song came out called Mo Money, Mo Problems. And I think that that's true. Your problems scale. You still are dealing with a finite number every month. Your worries, your anxiety, your budget scales to that. You still are dealing with a ceiling.
About 14% of all U.S. households make $200,000 or more every year. But many of them, dubbed Henrys or high earners, not rich yet, still don't feel rich.
And guess what? Nobody ever got rich working a 9 to 5.
62% of people with salaries over $300,000 a year struggle with credit card debt.
Let's throw in the children, the college tuition, the fees, the sports, prom, and everything else.
Doesn't actually make you feel rich. Spending it does. If most people spent 99% of their paycheck, they'd feel quite rich. And it's the paradox here. When we're in accumulation mode, it's very difficult to feel rich.
It can be pretty easy for someone to feel like I'm making really good money, but I don't have a lot of discretionary income.
Earning more and feeling like you're still on a hamster wheel is what a lot of Henrys experience. And that's because they're not living within their means. They may have been living above their means when they weren't nearly making as much money, and now they're just continuing to add more and more and more.
I earn $300,000 and I live in New York City.
And baby girl, you ain't missing no meals. So it looks like you doing damn good to me. And you got that grand piano in your living room. So I don't want to hear it.
Definitely don't feel rich. I feel very lucky, I feel privileged, but I do not feel rich. I could not stop working right now. I have more money anxiety almost now than I ever did in my 20s. I am on a hamster wheel and there's no question about it.
Well, I mean, it's her personal choices. Look where she lives. She lives in a quote unquote luxury apartment. So that apartment alone is, you know.
Henrys often don't feel rich compared to others. Many Henrys are cash rich and asset poor. So they're typically people under 40. They don't have childcare hours available. They're first-time home buyers in the housing market. They're paying off student loans early, hopefully. And their income usually hasn't hit a career peak. So they're very much in that not rich yet bucket, but they very well could be in the future.
Oh, I 100% feel like a Henry.
Maria Contreras was a professional composer, band leader, and pianist who started her virtual assistant business in 2016.
That year, I started to grow slowly and I was suddenly earning more money than I had ever earned in my life. And I think the number was something like $35,000 by the end of the year. And I went, wow, this is really great, I can grow this.
She then expanded into a digital marketing consulting agency during the pandemic.
For the calendar year of 2025, we're just on track to make 1.4 million. We're hoping to get to 1.5 or possibly even 1.6. I'm anticipating my owner's draw to be anywhere between 300,000 and 400,000. Had a pretty successful career as a musician through most of my 20s. The thing they don't tell you about having a career as a musician in music school is that you can be playing Carnegie Hall, which I was, and I was making $15,000 a year.
Wow, that's pretty good as a musician. Because a lot of musicians don't make that much money. So she's got it made.
And I didn't realize how much freedom money affords you. Now that I see the kind of freedom that somebody who earns what I do or even more has, that's my goal. That is absolutely what gets me out of bed in the morning.
A lot of the high earners, not rich yet, they're first generation wealth. So they still take their wealth into perspective against their family members or others in their community, and they realize how well they're doing. So they don't take it for granted. But I think what makes them feel not rich is we were told once you make six figures, all of your problems will go away. You just have so much excess. And I think we know that narrative is not true anymore.
I would have thought back then that the amount of money that I have in the bank right now, I would be rich. I would have just thought, oh yeah, she's made it, and I don't feel that way. I know that I am on a hamster wheel with my business. I actually really love the hamster wheel. I love what I do, but I also realize that I can't stop.
She likes to struggle. That's why she can't stop. Okay. What about your investments? What about saving money? How many vacations do you go on a year? She didn't mention a husband or kids, so I'm assuming she has more spending power, right? She should be able to go on at least 4 or 5 vacations a year if she's making $300K a year. So I don't see what the deal is, what the issue is.
So Henrys often don't feel rich compared to others.
Each plate of food on that table is at least $30 to $40. And if you're doing this 2 or 3 times a week, you're spending too much money on restaurants. Because what about all the taxes and the tips? Yeah, they robbing everybody with these tips in these restaurants.
They work very hard for their money, but they also spend a lot more than the average person.
In a lot of ways, Henrys may be victims of their zip codes.
$100,000 in LA is definitely very different than $100,000 in Iowa. Someone makes $200,000 a year in LA. They're going to probably take home $140-ish. Rent for a 1-bedroom is going to be at least $3,000. Their car payment's going to be $700. Car insurance is going to be maybe $200 a month. Gas is going to be $200 a month. If you were to annualize that, that's $50,000 right there. The remainder is for all the other things. We haven't eaten yet. We haven't purchased groceries. We haven't paid for subscriptions to Amazon and Netflix. We haven't gone on vacation yet. We haven't purchased clothes yet.
You see how expensive life is? Whether you have a family or not. It's going to cost a lot just to keep up to the bare minimum. And if you're making $50,000, $60,000 a year, then damn. Damn. But check this out. Most of the people that are making $50,000, $60,000 a year don't live on their own. And if they live with relatives or roommates, they have to pay down their student loan debt and credit cards. So it's like most people are barely getting by with whatever they're making, whether they're making $60,000 a year or $200,000 a year. So
it can whittle away your discretionary income if you're living in an area that has a high cost of living.
When my business started to grow, one of the first things that I started spending more money on right away was food, because I don't have time to cook. I had more money than time, and so I started eating Grubhub 3 meals a day most days. After that, it became rent, because I hit $1 million.
Look at her view. There is no reason to be depressed if you have a view like that. And she has the American flag on the background she could look at to remind herself she lives in the best country as far as business. Sarcasm. So, yeah, she gets the city views. A lot of people, the average person, can't afford this. If they are able to live in something like this, it's in a mediocre building. But the place she lives in looks fairly new or well taken care of or remodified.
$1 a year in revenue, and I said, that's it, I'm moving to Manhattan. And so my rent doubled, and I suddenly was paying $4,000 in rent. What is very worth it to me is to live where I want to live. I was proud that I could live here. For about a year, I would walk outside my apartment and just like look around and just be like, oh my gosh, here I am. So that was lifestyle creep for me.
Lifestyle creep is the common phenomenon of spending a little more money as you earn more. It can happen to anyone at any income.
Lifestyle creep can really sneak up on you. You start earning more and then you decide, well, I can buy more things. I need a second car. I need a bigger home. I need to go on this European vacation. I deserve this European vacation because I work hard for my money. The problem is if you're not continuing to increase your savings at the same time, you are putting your financial future in jeopardy.
Ooh, that's a good one, because see, a lot of people think, oh, they started making more money, so now they have to upgrade their lifestyle. Not necessarily, not if they don't have to. I mean, if it's that mediocre, then yeah, a little bit, but if your lifestyle is already good and above average, how far do you have to increase it just because you made more money?
That shift happens everywhere in our lives, from the small purchases to the really big ones. Cars, houses, vacation, and most of these expenses.
The top three things that burn most of our money the most: the car, a bigger house or apartment, and the vacations.
Are fixed.
Lifestyle creep impacts almost all tax brackets, but it can take different forms. One 2024 study found that when low and middle income households were given an additional $1,000, no strings attached, every month, their spending increased primarily on basic necessities, such as food, transportation, and rent. However, when higher income households were given the same $1,000, they increased spending on both necessities as well as discretionary expenses, like Marie did.
I spend more on my hair. I spend more on makeup. I get my lashes done. I get my nails done.
See that shit right there? I know women that pay $400 or $500 getting their hair done. I'm like, what? Damn. That used to be a car 10 years ago.
I think it's just something that comes with the territory.
Birds of a feather tend to flock together and their spending tends to be more aligned. If you make about $85,000, your friends probably also make about $85,000. So you're doing similar activities in the same economic bracket. Once you have friends that are making $200,000, $300,000.
This looks like a group of successful individuals right here. They either probably work at they probably work at the same organization or similar organizations, but they're all in the same tier of high value people. Not even high value, just middle class. Singles probably, single-lites. So the more people that you know that make around the same money as you guys probably have the same interests and hobbies and probably do the same things. So that's going to require you guys to go out more to fancier, more expensive restaurants. I'll say 4 to 5 star Michelin type restaurants, which can get pretty pricey. Each meal is probably like $50 each, and whatever drink that they're drinking. So what they're saying is, as you increase your income, because see, these type of people aren't going to have a lot of friends that are making $30,000 a year, somebody working at Amazon or in a warehouse, because a lot of these people, they're yuppies and they only want to be around people that are on their level or higher. So there's levels to this.
$1,000 a year, your activities will change. The restaurants that you will eat at will differ and change. They're going to probably be a little bit more elevated. Your vacations are going to be more elevated. Your clothing is going to be more elevated. It's not necessarily spending irresponsibly, but they're spending aligned with their friend group and their community.
It's called treating yourself and not cheating yourself. So you want to shop at Ross, but I want to buy something online of high quality. Not necessarily from the Gucci store, Louis Vuitton, nah.
That's why a lot of them oftentimes don't feel rich, because they're spending along with their friends.
Emotions are tied so tightly to what we do with our money. It happens to everyone. You get a raise, you're feeling great, you deserve to go out to dinner. In fact, you deserve to book that cruise. But the reality is that money was supposed to be earmarked for a bump up in your retirement savings, or money that you were going to put toward your child's education, or maybe you don't have an emergency fund, or at least not an adequate one, and the money should have gone there.
And see, keep in mind that most people, this is the generation of job hoppers. So a lot of you guys are changing jobs or companies every 6 months to a year. So a lot of you guys barely have healthcare coverage, let alone retirement savings accounts. So that's another thing to look at.
We allow ourselves to let our emotions overtake what we're doing with our money. We lose sight sometimes of what our goals are and how we have planned to meet them.
A Henry will sometimes look to the mega millionaires or the billionaires.
Is this a private jet along with a luxury SUV to pick you up in? See, this is the life that everybody asks for, but a lot of times they abuse it. And it's like, how much money do you have saved up? I mean, money is made to spend. You can't save every single dollar. And this video is pretty much for the dinks and the millennials that are single with no children. So it's like, wow, is everybody supposed to live this life? Somebody has to work at Wingstop. And if you work at Wingstop or Amazon, you're not going to be on and off of private jets unless you're up there on the executive level. But yeah, just because you're high earning, that doesn't mean you're going to be rich from whatever you're doing for work. You get rich off of investments and gambling. This is Kyle Veo, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace.